to catch back the time. I know it's not easy because we have a lot of things to say. There's a lot of experience to share, and we are passionate about it. We try to take a lot of time for that. So we have finished the 4 presentations that we were expecting. We were supposed to end these presentation by 10:45, and it's already 11:10. So we have basically 20 minutes. We have 20 minutes left, and we should start the discussion. And we have a series of questions for that, in order to find the actions or the various steps that we should take to implement more concretely our cooperation. So I would like to suggest the following. We would like to have the participants to take the floor, but I want to manage time also. So maybe I would ask Daiki and Hisashi to maybe set the framework and then set the questions so that we can start this. So how can we try to implement integrated sediment management in West Africa? This is the question. So maybe you could set the context, what could be also the support that Japan can give in this area. You have the floor, my friends from IDI and Pacific Consultants, to just set up the scene, and then everybody can sort of react to that.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Deguenon. I'm Hisashi MITSUHASHI, Director of the Department of Water Resources and Disaster Prevention Research, Infrastructure Development Institute, Japan, IDI. A WACA Japan Knowledge Network was established in September 2021 as one of the WACA Knowledge Hubs. We have been involved in the WACA program as the interim coordinator of the WACA Japan Knowledge Network. Today, together with Dr. TSUJIO from our partner company, Pacific Consultants, we'd like to introduce our plans for supporting sediment management in river basins and coastal areas in West African countries. This figure schematically illustrates various issues caused by sediment in river basins and coastal areas. As already mentioned by keynote speakers, these issues closely affected with each other. To solve these sediment-induced issues, we need to overcome 2 hurdles. One is understanding actual situation. It's difficult to understand sediment movement or deposition comprehensively and to quantify the causes and interrelationships of sediment movement or deposition. The other hurdle is consensus and collaboration among stakeholders. To overcome these hurdles, it is important for us to kick off from visualization of issues through evidence-based understanding of the actual situation in river basins and coastal areas to be shared with relevant organizations. After that, we can go on to create a framework for solutions, including a framework for discussion and coordination and funding mechanisms. This figure shows the steps of efforts to reach outcome. It was developed based on our experience with integrated sediment management in Japan, but we believe it is universal and applicable to the West African coastal area as well. It is important to steadily implement each of these steps. To start integrated sediment management in West African countries, we'd like to propose to focus on first and second steps for the next 2 to 3 years. This is a framework for implementation. The WACA Japan Knowledge Network acts like a concierge for West African countries and Japanese water sector. West African countries can smoothly access to Japanese experience and knowledge on disaster risk reduction, not only sediment management, but also coastal erosion and floods. And Japanese government organizations, knowledge institutes, and companies will mobilize their experience, knowledge, and help West African countries and organizations implement action on site. This slide shows our proposed activities for the first step, recognizing the importance of integrated sediment management. Today's workshop is the kickoff of our activities. We are planning to implement training courses in Japan for experts in government organizations on water-related disasters and dam management. We also would like to explore the possibility to implement expert dispatch, short courses, and joint research. We have not determined their contents and timing now, but we'd like to be as flexible as possible to provide them in a timely manner based on the needs in your countries and the seas and resources of the Japanese organizations. We also started the second step, understanding the current status of sediment dynamics in river basins and coastal areas. Pacific consultants, the University of Tokyo, and Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology have launched a research project on understanding the current status of coastal erosion using X-band satellite images. Dr. TSUJIO will introduce it in detail later. We'd like to conduct field surveys and discussions with relevant organizations in WACA countries in order to understand sediment flow in rivers and coasts and to study sustainable application of the technology. After that, we'll explore the possibility to understand the current status of sediment dynamics in river basins and coastal areas. In order to smoothly implement the activities, we signed a memorandum of agreement with ACECoR on May 9. In concluding this agreement, we received great cooperation, particularly from Professor Aheto of ACECoR, Mr. Anwar and Mr. Tachi of the World Bank, and Mr. Price of IUCN. Under this agreement, we will work with ACECoR to provide West African countries with technical expertise and solutions and support capacity buildings in West Africa. The scope of work covers disaster risk reduction, particularly coastal erosion, flood, and sediment management, where Japan has particular experience and knowledge. From now, I will ask Dr. TSUJIO to introduce a research to understand the current status of coastal erosion using satellite images. Dr. TSUJIO, please.
Very much. Thank you very much. So next slide, please. My name is Daiki TSUJIO from Pacific Consultants. I'd like to explain the outline of our research. So our research title is Understanding the Current Status of Coastal Erosion using X-band satellite images. So objective is to understand the shoreline change in the West African coastal area with high accuracy using X-band satellite image. So as you can see, so right bottom side figure shows the image of the X-band satellite. And then so we can use the several resolutions of the satellite image. The table shows the several kinds of resolution of satellite image, Sentinel or L-band and X-band and so on. And then so we can use these different resolution of the satellite image is for the different target area. So macro level or micro level. Okay, so and then so X-band resolution of X-band is about 1 meter and so on. So as you can see, it is very high accuracy rather than the other satellite images. Okay, next please. So not only understanding the current status, the X-band image analysis can be used for the monitoring. And so in this research, we would like to establish the monitoring method by using the X-band satellite images. And also, we would like to try to study on the mitigation measures for the target cost. Now our target cost is assumed as Ghana and Nigeria, but also we would like to these method for the other WACA countries. And then so the implementation organizations is here, Pacific Consultants, and also the University of Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology. And also we collaborated with the ACECoR. And the tentative image schedule is here. Okay, so next, please. So now I would like to explain the sample result of our research, mainly conducted by the assistant professor Go in the Tokyo University of Marine Science and Technology. And then so we now we target at the WACA countries the cost as shown in this figure. And then so now today we'd like to explain Ghana in this presentation for Ghana 1 and Nigeria 2 and so 3. And then so this study is conducted by by using cost SAT. And then so it is not expanded satellite image, that is the Landsat and the Sentinel, that is the optical satellite images. Okay, next please. So one example is in the Ghana 1. So we set the 10 transects, and then so we can identify the coastal line of change from the before 1990 to the present. Okay, then so in this area we can find the erosion tendency until the 2000 years, and so after that the beach will recover, but the recently beach erosion occur again, and but I'm not sure the reason is but the 2021 the beach will recover again. Okay, so that is our outline of the sample results. Okay, next please. Okay, another example is the Nigeria area. And then so this area is much affected by the port construction. Then port construction is completed in 2013. And then so after that, the coastal line will decrease. And then so after that, the breakwater construction started until the 2018. So the Transact 1 and Transact 2 will recover is recovered by the sheltering effect by the construction of the breakwaters. That is our preliminary study for by using the optical satellite images. And then so we focus after selecting the target cost, we would like to focus on the much more detailed study by using expand satellite images. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. TSUJIO. That's for all of our presentation. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. for these features. I think that helps us to think about it, and especially you talked about the memorandum of understanding with the ACECoR, which should help in order to see what was going on in West Africa and to try to find new solutions, the best ones. Now, I would like, without further doubt, to give the floor to those who rose their hand. They can react of what has just been said or for other concerns if they have. They can react on the four presentations we have. So I would like to start with Mr. Bunu, who raised his hand very early. Thank you very much, Mr. De Gono. My name is Frédéric Bonu. I'm a teacher and a researcher. I work in Benin at a research institute there. I would like to talk about what we're doing in Benin. Because we have, of course, a lot of climate change consequences. So how do we make the monitoring with this? So in Benin, we follow, of course, the shores in Benin, and we use the camera system. We have one in Gracopoko that has been installed in 2013, and we were able, thanks to these camera images, to understand that Benin is really affected in the Grand Popo area. And with the looking at shorelines, we see that waves have impact, very important. There are various seasons for that. And last year, we tried to do that with the sediment transport. We were looking at the period where you had a lot of transit in and sediment transport in Benin at that area. In our institute, we also work with students, and some of them are doing some master studies, and we try to work with their research. And last year, we proposed to work with the EcoStat tool in Grand Popo area. So this is where we have our cameras, and we try to compare the data of the cameras and the data that we could get from satellites. And it showed that satellites can give us very interesting information of coastal erosion. But the problem with satellites is that usually resolution is very low. And also we have a problem when we have clouds. When it's cloudy, we can't always have very good. So I think it's something that we should do together, sometimes cameras and also satellite. Both data should be combined. And we also have more conventional methods. Every month, for example, we have a colleague, Dr. Bibi, who is on sites and tries to take surveys really on the site to see how the ocean is changing. Now, we have cooperation with Ghana, especially our friend from Donatus. We had the same kind of training as far as oceanography is concerned. So we work together on data projects. With Japan, I see that the cooperation is with ACECoR from Ghana. And I would like to know how Benin could also take advantage of this cooperation on the technical aspect And on the financial aspect, I know that ACECoR has funding from the World Bank, and very often the World Bank does not work with institutes or universities, but rather with the government. So I would like to know, with the cooperation of with Japan is always with the World Bank, or is it possible that Japan works with researchers or universities of each country, and especially Benin is interested with cooperating and collaborating with our friends from Japan. The presentation was very important. There are very interesting, many methodologies were presented. We would like to have better sediment management also in Benin. So I'm really interested with that. As I told you, we had some publication last year about sediment transport. So this is what I wanted to say. Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Bonu, for your contribution. We know that in Benin, in all West Africa, there are many things that are being done. Of course, it's not always very important, but it's good to share your experience with us. I would like to know if there are other colleagues, if they want to take the floor. Of course, it's important to know what you're doing in your countries, but please be brief. We want to know what are your concerns, and we would like to know what we want to do. We all know that we have issues. We know what the issues. We want to know what we can do to go forward. So I would like you to talk that what kind of collaboration is possible, for example, with Japan or with Ghana, with ACECoR. So this is interesting, or with the World Bank. Thank you very much. I just did not listen the Benin thing. Excuse me. It's okay. It's fine. I'm sorry that we are online, because if we were in present, we could be able to have a lot of presentations, but unfortunately we have to do it online. So we are limited with time, and we can make only a presentation with just a sample of examples. But thank you very much, because it was important to have also the Benin experience. So I would like to know if there are other questions. With the WACA program, we have the platform and we have the project. The platform has three pillars: knowledge, funding, and dialogue. And when it's knowledge, it means that we have to put in place relationship with various partners in the world, so knowledge that can be shared with our region. So this is how it was done with Japan. So the platform is the World Bank, but in the knowledge pillar, we had the possibility to put in place some center of excellences, and that was Ghana that was selected with the funding of World Bank in order to be the area, the university that would be the center of excellence. Of course, you can work with Japan also, and I'm sure that we can have some more elements of response later on by the World Bank and the and Japan. But I would like first to just give the floor to those who raised their hands, and I think it was important so that we do that. Musa, now you have the floor. Thank you very much, Christophe, and good morning. I would like rapidly to thank all the presenters. Their presentation were really good, and I would like to stress again this issue of sediment management. It is extremely important for our coastal areas. We all want to go in this direction. When we had the scientific committee meeting, we said that the orientation, the direction would be to really put more impact, more emphasis in research in this field, and that would be for the next period. So now I would like to raise 2 points. First, if I understood what our friend from Japan said, we have to understand the current situation. So what is the state today? And this is what our scientific committee said at the very beginning. It's absolutely essential to do that. So in order to understand the current situation, we need to be able to work with all researchers in the sub-region. We need to have an entry, which would be ACECoR, but I think that all the research institute in the region, and most of them are members of the regional scientific committee, but they should all be able to contribute to this thing. So ACECoR should try to be the institution that puts in place the network in our sub-region. And then we could really have the integrated approach. It's not only integrated sediment management, but also an approach in our way of working. Of course, we have institutions, but we need to put in place teams, working teams on the regional level. So we still have to work on that. Second, we need to do research, but it has to be useful in the end. In order to improve the situation for the population and also to fight against coastal risks. And this is why we need to have links with the decision makers, with the political powers. We need to put this connection with the political decision makers, because it's important that the results that we're doing are really useful in the end. Thank you. Thank you, Musa. Michael? Good morning, and congratulations to all the presentations. Everybody was really relevant, and my name is Dada Muriku, and I'm in charge of the West African management. I'm in Dakar. I have one concern that was actually said by my friend Musa. Indeed, we need to have more data to better understand the integrated sediment management. We need this data in order to take good decisions. So integrated management should be done on the national level, but what is also important is that we need to tackle these issues on the regional area, that is to say, across borders. One example, I'm from Mauritania, and the harbor that was built between Mauritania and Senegal was, of course, taken on the national level. It's Mauritania who decided about this harbor, this port, because it had its economic strategic opportunities, but it will have impact on the coast, and especially on the Senegal area. Already we can see some of the impact. So we still have not always boats are still not coming in the port, but you already have erosion problems on the Senegalese coastline. So these are things that we need to think about, and we need to have consultations on the regional level, on the political level, so that we can, between states, really think together. When we do something, when there is one infrastructure in one country, it may have consequences in another country. So we should really be aware of this. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Demba. Mariko. Zachary. Thank you. Good morning, and thank you for this workshop. The problem of coastal erosion is something that is a sub-regional problem issue. You cannot just solve the problem in one country and forget about the next door country. So we absolutely need to set up a network, a sub-regional network, in order to really find solutions. Right now, you know that we have a sediment problem, for example, construction, but on the other side, you go to the continent to get some sand. And if we do not have a match, then you will go to the sea and in the ocean and get some more sand because you have to build new houses. And this is always the problem. Everybody goes back to the sea. And this issue of sediment, of erosion, should be solved on the regional level. There has been already some initiatives for the marine ecosystem management. We really want to use those results also because, as our friend Musa said, we need to have an approach of ACECoR will be the door for the problem. But all the other countries should really be efficiently be interested in that. I know what is the problem, for example, in Benin. Other people have already said, I think the initiative is a very good one, but we have to go towards a really integrated management with all the countries of the region. Thank you, Mr. Zachary. Sekou Tidiane, you have the floor. Sekou Tidiane, we cannot hear you, so maybe your microphone is muted. Can you hear me? Yes. Your microphone is muted. Okay. We will go to the, can you hear me now? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. I was saying that I'm really happy about this collaboration of Japan towards WACA countries. We have the same concerns as Japan in the sub-region. Cooperation and information sharing is absolutely essential. In Guinea, we do not have an integrated sediment management program because we have many problems. And what we are doing is just building mining ports and harbors in order to export bauxite and iron. And in order to build those ports, we have as a consequence a lot of erosion and sedimentation of rocks that we do not need anymore. And this is a real problem, and there is no solution right now. We would like to have an exchange of experiences of such issues in order that the sub-region can find solutions. I think everybody has already said many things, so I'm not going to repeat what has been said. And I would like to thank all the organizers of this workshop and wish you all that we can have a real efficient cooperation in the future. So to have a win-win solution. Thank you very much, Mr. Sekou Tidiane. Mr. Diarra? Thank you very much, Mr. Degno. I would like to thank the UMIA, the World Bank, and Japanese Corporation for this workshop, which is really highly expected, and we have high expectations about that. I think we want to have research and also action together. When research is done, when we have all the data and the analysis, we are ready to implement the results that were given by research. We know that in the sub-region and in the region or the continent, that there are already a lot of research that are available right now, and that shows clearly that we have a sediment deficit in our sub-region. We know that we have some negative impact on this sediment deficit, and that the coastal erosion is there. We all know that. All the researchers of Côte d'Ivoire, of Ghana, of all the countries of the sub-regions know that we have presented those publications, and it shows under various forms. We have those results already. So now, because we have those results, we set up a program, which is the WACA program, with countries that want to implement new actions on the regional level. And this approach has already been studied. It has to be sustainable, but we still have one issue. As long as the sediment, which is the starting point, is not well managed, then whatever we do, whatever the program is, governance will continue to set up infrastructures, and especially port infrastructures, with negative consequences on our coasts. So on the operation basis, how should we do so that on the regional level, we will have a real action plan to fight against erosion, so that we have a real maintenance of all the constructions that we have, and so that we know better what is going on from sediment. Of course, we have already dams, so we have to know where they are and what they're doing. Thank you. I think we've lost you. We can't hear you anymore. No, we lost him. Okay. We have understood what his concern. We had already that. I would like to give the floor to ACECoR.
Oui, bonjour.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you.
D'accord. Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Modérateur.
Thank you very much, Mr. Moderator.
Remercier également
I would like to
le directeur général du CSC qui est ici présent
thank
et l'ensemble
the General Director of CSC and all the
les présentateurs et également toutes les personnes présentes. Alors, je rejoins
to the presentators of this, and I would like to second what Dr. Moussassa said.
Justement, d'intégration sous-régionale.
We need to have a sub-regional integration of research and the research results.
Sur la gestion, je pense que je sais pas
we have to manage that better. I do not know exactly who at the World Bank should be our counterpart, but
si on regarde toute la côte ouest africaine,
if you look
je pense
if you look at the West African coast, there is a real regional continuity, but there are also a lot of
Par exemple, je donne un
disparities.
exemple qui est très simple.
One
Le port
example
de Niamey dont
is
parlait le collègue tout à l'heure,
the port
l'impact
of
ne sera pas visible au Togo ni au Bénin. En tout cas, pas
Mauritania.
au bout
We
de
won't
5 ans, 6
see
ans, 7 ans.
impact
Mais au
in
bout
Togo,
d'1 mois ou de 2
in
mois, ça peut se ressentir
Benin.
directement au Sénégal.
It will take
Donc,
maybe
ça
4
veut
or
dire quoi?
5
Ça veut
years,
dire que
but
la
in
partie
just 1
nord,
month, you will have
largement ouverte à
impact in
l'Atlantique,
Senegal.
a un
So
fonctionnement
you have
relativement
to
différent de
understand
la
that
partie Golfe de Guinée.
and to
Donc,
see
l'impact que peut
what
avoir
has
le
impact
port
on
de
what.
Lomé,
The
ça va
port of
affecter
Lomé
directement la partie
will
sud, Ghana, etc., mais n'affectera peut-être pas le
touch
Sénégal.
the
Donc,
south
voyez ce que je veux
of
dire. Donc,
West
cette
Africa,
partie
but it
nord,
will
nous
not
devons
touch, for
avoir une
example,
approche également
Senegal.
qui est
So when
régionale,
we
je suis
do
d'accord,
this, we
mais
have to do it
subdiviser cette partie
on
régionale
the
en deux
regional
grands
level,
secteurs.
but we have to
Et donc,
maybe
ce
have
qui fait
two
que
big areas
on
in
peut
this
observer les mêmes
sub-region.
choses, on peut
We
observer les
will see
processus
the
sont
same
identiques, mais il y
kind
a des
of
disparités,
processes,
en
but
tout cas
also things that are different
plus ou
from
moins
one
local.
area to
Donc,
another.
je pense que la Banque mondiale,
So
ou en
the
tout cas
World Bank
les bailleurs, gagneraient à se rapprocher d'abord du centre de suivi écologique de Dakar, qui est
should go and see the
l'organe
monitoring
qui
service
peut
in
fédérer,
Dakar,
donc même qui fédère donc les chercheurs de la sous-région à
because
travers
all the
justement
researchers
le
are
nouveau concept
usually
de
in
l'Orloa.
this
Premier niveau. Deuxième
network.
niveau, il y a un comité scientifique
And
régional.
then you have
Donc,
a
j'ai l'impression
regional
que la Banque
scientific
mondiale
committee, and I think
ignore
that the
l'existence de
World
ce comité
Bank
scientifique.
doesn't know
Et je pense
about
que
the
si nous
scientific
voulons toujours continuer à
committee.
travailler
And
ensemble
I
pour
think we
produire des
should
résultats
work
scientifiques
together
qui
if
peuvent
we
aider à la
want to
décision, nous
really have a
devrions
good
avoir
network.
comme ligne de mire qu'il y a une diversité de chercheurs, il y a une
Should
diversité
understand that there
d'universités
is a lot
et nous avons
of
besoin
universities,
de
real
nous retrouver.
diversity there,
Donc,
and we
ça, c'est la
should
première chose. La
be
deuxième chose
able to be all
que je voudrais
involved.
dire, c'est
Second,
qu'effectivement, il y a un déficit criard de
it
connaissances
is
sur
clear
les flux sédimentaires. En tout
that
cas, pour
we
la
have
partie nord, dont
not
je parlais
enough
tout à l'heure. Donc, si je prends l'exemple du fleuve Sénégal,
knowledge for
les
the
quelques données qui existent sur les flux
sediment
sédimentaires, sur le transport, datent des années 80. Ça a été
transfer
fait
in the northern
par
part.
l'ORTOM,
It goes back
donc
to the
aujourd'hui, ni moi ni personne
1980s.
n'est capable de vous
Right now,
donner
we have
le
almost
flux
no
sédimentaire
data
au Sénégal.
on what is going on in Senegal, for example, as far as
Qui sont mis en
sediment
place, mais en période de
transit
lâcher des
is
barrages,
concerned.
il y a des quantités
We
gigantesques
don't know
astronomiques de
much
sédiments
about
qui
what
transitent et qui vont à la
dams are
Donc, il n'y a aucune
actually
station de mesure
releasing.
aujourd'hui
So a
qui permet
huge amount of
de
sediments
le faire.
have been released from
Ça
dams,
permet
but
de
we don't know
rebondir
how
en disant
much.
que donc, nous avons
We have
cette expérience-là.
no,
Parce que moi-même,
this
le
has not
dernier
been
postdoc
measured,
que j'ai fait
and
avant
I
de
think
rentrer,
the
c'était
last thing
l'évaluation
I've
des flux
looked
sédimentaires
was
du
to
Grand
look
Rhône
the flow, the sediment
au niveau de
flow in
Barcarène, juste au nord
Gabon,
de Port-Saint-Louis, pour évaluer toutes les quantités de
to
matière en
try to
suspension qui
understand
transitent
what
par le
are
Rhône et
all the
arrivent
suspended
au
matters
delta du Rhône, à travers
that
des
are
technologies hydroaquatiques.
arriving in
Donc,
the
ils mesurent
Delta
toutes les
River.
limites avec des bateaux qui
And
Donc, je pense qu'il y a de l'expérience comme ça.
I think there are some experiences that exist, but we do not have enough data. We want to organize it better,
la Banque mondiale regarde un tout petit
and
peu
that
les
the
autres
World Bank
institutions pour qu'on
looks
puisse
at
être
all the
impliqués.
institutions
à
in the
travers
region
justement
to
l'Orloa.
see
Je plaide vraiment
what
que ça
is
soit porté
really
par
necessary.
l'Orloa. Et c'est
It should
d'ailleurs
go
cette
through
raison qui fait que
l'Orloa.
nous, au Sénégal, on a
In
lancé
Senegal,
le processus de mise en place de
we
l'Institut,
have
un institut
set up
interuniversitaire.
a
Institut de l'eau et du littoral.
cross-university
Et je pense
institute
qu'il y
of
aura même
water
moyen
and the
de voir avec les
coast,
collègues de la
coastal
Mauritanie pour
area.
qu'il y ait
And I think we
effectivement
could
cette
work,
approche
for example,
entre
with
le Sénégal, la
Mauritania also,
Mauritanie
because there is a
jusqu'en
link
Guinée.
between
Parce que
that, and this should go down
pense
to
que nous sommes dans le
Guinea
même segment.
too.
Je
We are in the
considère
same
que nous sommes
segment, in the
depuis
same
la Mauritanie jusqu'en
compartment.
Guinée, nous sommes dans le même
And
segment côtier.
so from
Au-delà,
Mauritania
nous
to
avons d'autres
Guinea.
processus qui peuvent être différents. Donc,
And
voilà ce que
in
je
the
voulais
rest of the
contribuer.
region,
Je vous
maybe the
remercie pour votre
process should be
attention.
different. At least we should have those two big zones. Thank you. Isa? Ken, I will come back to you, but first I would like to take the people from WACA Senegal before coming back to you. Mr. Diallo, Mr. Momo Diallo. Thank you, Mr. Degnon. I would like to thank the World Bank and the partners for organizing this workshop. And I will say more or less the same thing that has been said before me, especially Isa. If our aim is to have a better awareness of sediment management, I think it's important, but we should also have also this decision makers be aware about the sediment situation. What happens in Senegal is different of what is happening in Togo or Benin, for example. Today, we are looking at university research in our region, and we need to have better awareness of decision makers of the situation, so that in their dashboard they have the sediment management at the upfront, because there are really consequences because of the harbor of Nagua in Mauritania. This is really something that we can see on a daily level. So we need to have this information sharing and integrate this idea. It's not just on a technical or academic level. We really need to have the decision makers with us. We should be sitting around the same table and talk about that with our neighbors as well, so to have sustainable solutions to better manage sediment. I would like to thank the moderator for his support. Thank you very much. Marianne? Thank you very much, Christophe. My name is Marianne Sodan Diallo. I'm the coordinator of the CSEC, and I would take the opportunity to thank the presentators and the speakers. They were very important, and it shows how important it is, how important rivers are in sediment. We had the case of Senegal with Professor Embo. We had Ghana also with rivers. So large rivers and smaller rivers that have also an impact in the sediment erosion. Even if it's more localized, that's something. What does that mean? It means that in order to fight efficiently to this sediment deficit on the shorelines, we need to have an integrated approach. And I think that the Japanese example shows that it's possible. We need to have really an approach that takes the whole drainage basin. And this is important. Unfortunately, we are not doing that in Senegal or in Western Africa altogether. We're not taking the whole drainage basin. And in one drainage basin, we have not only coastal countries, we also have inland countries. So when we have a regional approach, we have to also integrate those countries that are inland but are within the drainage basin, and they are also responsible of this sediment flowing. So this is what I wanted to say. Okay, coastal countries are have to be involved, but we should also have those inland countries, because otherwise we won't have the whole basin taken into account. Thank you very much for this, Marianne. Usman, and then we will have Ken. Thank you, Mr. Deguenon. I have followed with interest and with a lot of curiosity what has been said, and what I want to say actually seconds what Marianne has just said. That is to say that through the various speakers, we were able to share some information and to see how important the continental approach is important in the sediment management, and remind us that it is important to have an approach that is on the whole basin, the drainage basin altogether. So my contribution is try to of course, involve all the countries and all the stakeholders of integrated water management, for example, on a basin level. So how can we go further? So have it on a basin level, all the authorities, all the stakeholders in one basin, and maybe go a little further with water management altogether. So not just sediment, not just the coastal line, but all the water management in order to have a comprehensive water management so to be more successful. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Ken, maybe you want the floor now?
Yeah, I want to use this opportunity to thank the organizers for this exciting and very thoughtful intervention or thoughtful meeting. My name is Ken Kinney, and I work for the Development Institute. Development Institute is a Ghanaian NGO responsible for or engaging research, policy, and implementation, and we are very much working in the Volta Delta. So as the presentation have shown, dams are very useful for us, but they are also a kind of problems in one way or the other, especially with respect to coastal management. So, as you are all aware, the Volta Dam and all the 3 dams on the Volta River have contributed to what we find, especially on the east coast of Ghana. But then the power that is generated from these dams are shared with Burkina Faso, Togo, Benin. And also the problem we find in the coast extends to all these countries in the west, in the east. So my suggestion is that as an experiment or as a pilot, let's see how we can implement the sediment bypass program that the Japanese scientists have presented. So, and then in Ghana, there have already been some couple of studies on how the dams can be re-operationalized and re-optimized. So I see this as an opportunity for the Japanese team to work with ACECoR and then the VRA and probably the government of Ghana to see how we can experiment this, how we can have a pilot for the Volta Dam to see how we can do the bypass. There's already studies. And so what is left now is how we can have collaboration and funding to be able to implement this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Ken. I think we have other persons who want to speak, but we are over time already, so Thomas is not here anymore. Ibrahima, maybe? Okay, so Ibrahima, you have
Bonjour tout le monde,
mic.
j'espère que vous m'entendez.
I hope you can hear us.
Okay, c'est Ibrahima Kamara du
My
Sénégal.
name is Ibrahima Kamara from Senegal.
Donc moi, mon intervention sera
I'm in
axée plus
Dakar.
sur les données.
I would like to
Donc
talk
comme
about
mon
data.
collègue Dr Issa Sakho et Moussa Sall aussi l'ont déjà dit. Je
Dr.
pense que pour
Issa
faire,
and
comme
Moussa
vous l'avez
have
dit
said,
ici,
as you said,
pour bien en fait faire un management des transports
need
sédimentaires, on a besoin, comme tout le monde a dit ici, a reconnu,
to
d'avoir des
start
données,
with
parce que les
data
données
if
sont
we want to
importantes
have
pour
a
mieux
correct
comprendre les
integrated
processus.
sediment
Or
management.
aujourd'hui, quand on regarde bien,
And
très souvent, ce qu'on utilise, en fait,
very
on utilise
often
des
what
données
happens is
satellitaires
that
dont les
we
résolutions ne
try
sont
to
pas très,
have
très bonnes.
satellite
Je prends exemple
data,
seulement
but they're
l'exemple
not
du
good
Sénégal ici. On
resolution.
utilise par
It's the
exemple,
case in
pour
Senegal,
bien
for
comprendre les
example, we
processus
use
locaux, on utilise les caméras vidéo.
local
Et à ma
video,
connaissance, il n'y a qu'une seule caméra vidéo qui existe
and
au niveau de
I
Saint-Louis.
think there is only
Or, sur la
one
petite côte aussi, il y a beaucoup de
and
problèmes sur cette petite
this
côte-là. On avait une
is
caméra vidéo
a
au niveau
problem because we do
de
not have
Bourg, mais
enough
maintenant, ça
to
ne
be
fonctionne
able
plus.
to have
Donc, je pense que
correct
c'est bien
data.
aussi
So it
vraiment
would be
d'investir de ce
to
côté-là pour
invest
vraiment
in
utiliser les caméras vidéo qui
cameras,
peuvent
to
être,
use
qui sont pas
those.
très chères
They're
et donc
usually
qui
not
peuvent
very
permettre vraiment de
expensive,
résoudre
but
certains
they
problèmes.
could
En
already
plus de
solve
ça aussi, je
certain
pense que
problems.
Donatus aussi en
Also,
a parlé
I
aussi.
think
Utiliser aussi des ACECoR pour avoir une idée sur les courants, donc pour mieux
we
comprendre
need
tous ces
to have also
processus-là.
data about
Donc, vraiment,
currents.
c'est ça mon intervention, vraiment
And
essayer
this
de
is all
renforcer
what
le
I
côté
wanted to do.
observation, parce
So
que sans
try to have
l'observation,
a
on ne peut
better
pas bien,
surveillance
on
or
ne peut pas
monitoring.
comprendre les
If
processus
we do
et
not
sans une
have a
meilleure
good
compréhension des processus,
surveillance or
le management sera
monitoring,
biaisé.
then we cannot really make any analysis that is fruitful. Thank you very much. Thomas, really rapidly, and then we end. Thank you very much, Christopher.
I know we've been emphasizing sediment flow and other data collection issues, but I think one of the points in the presentation of Professor Tajima was very interesting, was the impact of management on biodiversity in the region. And biodiversity is a capital aspect of course, managing the coast, and also quite important in terms of ecosystem services and regional economy. So I think that's one dimension for us all to take into account, both working nationally and regionally. Thank you, Christophe.
Merci beaucoup, Thomas.
Thank you very much, Thomas. And I would give the floor to the World Bank and from our friends from Japan to answer. But there are many comments, many questions, but all together they are quite close. First, integrated sediment management is important. Everybody understand that. So this, but at the same time, everybody said that it was important also to make it on the regional level, not just to have an integrated sediment management on one country. We try to be as large as possible. We need to have more awareness. We have to involve all the stakeholders. Very often we do not have all the stakeholders, the decision makers included. And this awareness of decision makers is important. This was underlined also. Then there was also the cooperation with Japan. We would like to understand how we can benefit from this program in each country, and how other research centers can also be involved. There was also one question on how to have a regional integrated sediment management plan. More specifically, the cooperation with Japan could help in this area, especially with feasibility studies. For example, if we want it on the regional level, we've had the examples of dams or ports that are existing and how to mitigate this. You do not need to answer all questions, but I think we have seen the main ideas that were presented. So, and there is one thing that I forgot is the issue of biodiversity. So now I would give the floor to the World Bank and Japan. Just please try to do it in 10, 15 minutes and not more, because we need to close very rapidly. Hisashi, maybe?
Thank you, Professor Duguenon. And thank you very much for giving us many suggestions from all participants. Yeah, we learned a lot from your suggestions and comments that your countries have issues and problems on sediment management, and it is not inside of each country, but it relates to a regional and continental issue. So we need to tackle with each, we need to gather all knowledges and experiences of West African countries to solve these problems. And for this framework, we'd like to consult with ACECoR and the World Bank how to implement, how to make a structure for the collaboration of researchers to make a good impact to political decision. And from Japan part, we would like to share the results of this workshop, how we can contribute to West African countries on technical side or information or data management. And we'd like to think how we can provide Japanese knowledge, technologies smoothly to West African countries. Thank you very much.
Merci beaucoup, Sajid.
Thank you very much, Sajid. Sajid, you have the floor.
Sure. Thank you, Christophe. Thank you, everybody. Your comments are very well received. On the regional aspects, let's remember that WACA is at its core a regional program. And one of the driving factors behind the creation of the WACA program was the recognition that coastal management programs cannot exist at the national level in West Africa if there is a hope to have sustainable change for the coast. And indeed, a regional coordinated approach is needed. And even though today's presentation and the proposal that's been put forward is focusing on just a small subset of countries, this is very much recognized both in the program and as part of this research initiative. Unfortunately, it's just the realities of the world that keep us limited, as we're all familiar with, in terms of capacity, in terms of financing. And if we had our way, of course, we would launch a very comprehensive regional study that covered all countries and all the relevant river basins and the relevant impacts that they have. But unfortunately, that is not the case. But at the very least, we have to start somewhere, and that's what we are doing with this workshop today. And this also relates to the issue that was raised of stakeholders. I think over these last 4 years of the program have become better at engaging a wide range of stakeholders, and whatever the initiative, we will not get it 100% right on the first try. But I do think today, looking at the 75 plus participants that we had, we did have a very good and diverse representation of stakeholders in attendance today. And we hope to improve that going forward with your help and with your guidance for those of you that are here. And that being said, in the same regard, we hope to, as we build up this program, expand that stakeholder involvement moving forward. So this is not only in terms of countries, but in terms of researchers, of universities, and of other experts moving forward, so that the Japanese expertise can be accessible and applied to all of the WACA countries within the program. So I appreciate your comments. We definitely hear them, but I do want you to at least have some peace that we do not see this as a final destination. Rather, we see this as a starting point, and we hope to keep in contact with you to expand this approach. And this is just, you know, as Sashi-san's presentation indicated, this is a multi-year initiative here. And one of the key reasons is that we are engaging with Ghana and to the extent of Nigeria, is that their investment projects, like many of you are already benefiting from WACA RESIP 1, the design phase is still ongoing for WACA RESIP 2. So a lot of this research can still be integrated, financing can still be earmarked, and we can move forward and learn from those lessons, just like Ghana and the other RESIP 2 countries are learning from the lessons of the first RESIP project. So with that in mind, I just want to extend my appreciation for everybody's participation, and especially for your comments and your feedback to make sure that we are going in the right direction as we move forward and making this an inclusive research initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Sajid. Merci beaucoup, Sajid.
Thank you, Sajid, for those comments. I think that everybody is in the same direction. We know that there are a lot of opportunities. This initiative is extremely important, and we already had this idea that to have more people involved, more stakeholders involved. You said clearly that you were available for that. As you just said, it's the first step. I think that other stakeholders will come and join us. It is important to have more expertise to find solutions. The last word, according to the program, would be from a professor from Cape Coast University. But before that, I would like to remind you that this is a regional program, but as certain colleagues have said, we already have some tools. We want to have more institutions, more universities, and you know that we have the regional scientific committee that is in place. We have already 12 countries that have this network. It is a tool that is very useful, and ACECoR can use that network in order to help them. So you would be ACECoR the entry point, but then we could use the regional scientific committee and the 12 countries that are members of that to use that, and we are ready to do that instead with the on the West African Economic Monetary Unions. The WAMU 2 is ready to help you for that in order to have really more help. Now I would like to give the floor to the representative of ACECoR to do the closing remarks. I'm not sure who is saying that, but ACECoR, you have the floor for the closing remarks.
Okay. Professor Denis Worlanyo Aheto is the director, and unfortunately he is in an equally important situation now, making some presentations. So he asked me to stand on in his footsteps and give his remarks. So from the university, we are committed. The University of Cape Coast, as well as the center, is committed to whatever that all that we have discussed here, and we wish to say that we will collaborate. And we already have an MOA with the IDI, Infrastructure Development Institute. So we'll collaborate so that we can achieve common goals. And as you just said right now, yes, ACECoR is always willing to lead, but with the presence of WAMU and other regional bodies, we should come together and make a good collaboration, and so that we can achieve the goals that we have already set. So on behalf of the director and ACECoR, we're actually happy that this program came to this successful end, and the director is very happy that it brought people from all countries in the region to deliberate on this important issue. So on behalf of him, I say thank you for all of you for your presence, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup, Denis. Merci
Thank
beaucoup.
you very much to you and to the professor. I would like to thank you also for having bared with me, and I hope we are going to see each other very soon in order to continue to work on this thing. Thank you to all, and have a nice day. Thank you. Thank you.
Professor Duguemon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And just
Sashi-san, I thought we were
yes.
supposed to present the last slide on the...
Yes. Please wait for a moment.
Terminer avec une dernière diapositive.
D'accord.
中村さん、スライド一つ出してもらえますか？Donato-san, this is the slide.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you very much for joining the workshop today. Please get in touch with us. Please send an email to Dr. Donatos or us in IDI. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so if you have any concerns, requests, and then you can send it to any of us so that we can see how to get you an answer.